I do have the mic.
Hey everyone, is this working? All right. Thank you all so much for coming. Very glad you're back here. My name's Andrew Maxwell. I'm the 2005 fundraising chair for my class this year, and very pleased to welcome Professor Sanjiv Gokhale, who has a pretty amazing background. And I think the best thing that we talked about before we started the conversation about Nashville is he's now on his second stint at Vanderbilt. The first one started back in 1981, is that right?
Yep.
When he came to Vanderbilt to get a graduate degree and also to meet his wife, which is why we're now back here in Nashville and talking about this wonderful city. And we're very lucky to have him here at the university and very excited to hear some things about various construction projects and other development, really a lot of exciting things going on around town. So please join me in welcoming the professor for a great talk here about Nashville's real estate and built environment.
Okay, well, thank you, Andrew. Well, good afternoon. As Andrew said, I'm Sanjiv Gokhale. I'm a professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. Nashville on the move, new projects, new places. If you're back for your first year reunion or fifth or 10th or more, but we won't go there. And I'm not looking at you at all. I'm not. I'm just generally glancing at the audience. You know, whether, as I said, whether you return back a year ago, from a year ago, you graduated, or 10 years ago, change is evident, and change is all around us. 1 hour is not enough to do justice to the types of projects, the variety of projects that Nashville is seeing over the last few years and will continue to see in the foreseeable future. But that's all I have, and that's all you have. So we'll try to hit on some of the highlights. I see one of my students, Sam, walking in, and another student, Jody, sitting over there. So let's start out by telling you about 3 projects. One that's in the planning stages, one that's about to break ground, in fact, in a week, and one that's under construction. By looking at these 3 projects, we will get a sense of the types of projects and the types of project players and contractors and developers that are coming to Nashville, and as to why they're coming to Nashville. All of these projects, and most of the projects that are underway in the Nashville area, are in what we call as our central business district. And you can see the about to break ground project in 5th and Church, the underway project 17th and Broadway, and then a planned project in the Gulch area where obviously there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. So planned, let's start with one that is going to happen. And Metro approves a 38-story skyscraper in the Gulch, okay? And this skyscraper will cost over $100 million. It is a residential tower. Buckingham Company, which is involved in a mixed-use project, hotel, retail, apartments, right across Vanderbilt University campus in front of law school, this will be their second project. Buckingham Company is well known in the Midwest. They've come from Indiana, Indianapolis, Indiana, my previous home. So this will be their second project. And this is a story that has happened and will continue to happen. An out-of-town developer comes in town, does a project, and falls in love and wants to do more. This is the very first project to be designed by a very notable architectural firm out of Chicago, and that's Skidmore, Owen, and Merrill. SOM designs some of the tallest buildings, not only in the United States, but across the world. What was previously the Freedom Tower, now One World Trade Center, is a SOM design. Burj Khalifa, the tallest currently building in the world, is a SOM design. So they are coming to build us this very tall building in the Gulch. It's about to break ground. There'll be 550 residential units, total construction cost estimated about $155 million. And it would, oh, sorry, I moved on to the next project, my bad. So the next project is a downtown skyscraper. That is by a local developer who built the very first residential tower in downtown Nashville. Now you can throw a stone in any direction and you'll find a residential project in Nashville. And that was Tony Giarratana. His project, upwards of $155 million, will become the Nashville tallest skyscraper based on occupied floor. So that means without any antennas on the top and so forth. At 543 feet, it will be one of the tallest buildings dotting the skyscape of Nashville. The innovative design of this skyscraper was given to us by another very famous team. Adrian Smith and Gordon Gill started the design. It was completed by Gensler Architects, another very, very notable architectural company. It will integrate double skin facade, integrated photovoltaic cells, solar shading, underfloor air distribution, and it will be one of the most energy efficient building in Nashville and possibly in the United States. Another project which is under construction, so we looked at one that is planned. This is about to break ground next week or certainly by November. And the one that's under construction and fairly close to campus is called the Sky House. This is the 15th Sky House project that is being built in the United States. Similar projects have been built in cities of Atlanta, Austin, Dallas, Houston, Charlotte, Denver, Orlando. Do you see a common theme? These projects are built in cities with an NFL football team. The developer has this sense that that's where it makes most sense. These are high-end luxury apartments, okay? And the developer team is Baston Cook and Novair Group out of Atlanta. They have dabbled, Novair has dabbled in other projects in Nashville previously. This will be the first project for Baston Cook in Nashville. Smallwood Reynolds, another famous architectural company out of Atlanta, is designing it. So it's not quite as tall as others. It is 25 stories with 350 apartments, 10,000 square feet of retail space. And pretty much anything that we build nowadays in Nashville, the ground floor, the first, is always retail. Jim Borders, when he decided to do this project, said, not surprisingly, Nashville has become one of the preeminent cities in our nation for attracting young single professionals, which is our target demographics. Young single professionals, and that's all of us in this room. Well, not single, but young professionals. So change is coming to Nashville, okay? I've done this talk a few times before at alumni associations in DC, in Mobile more recently, but I think we are really shortchanging ourselves by just saying change. I think transformation is coming to Nashville. We are changing very rapidly and will continue to, hopefully down the line in a more moderated way, to retain some of the things that make Nashville so special in all of our eyes. So if you stand anywhere just about and you look in the sky, you will see the blue skies and nice fluffy clouds most of the time. Nashville has one of the worst air quality in the countries. But you will, in addition to that, you will see cranes, tall tower cranes. As of September 2015, there are 36 tower cranes dotting the skies of Nashville. Construction projects exceeding value of $3 billion, both planned and under construction, and 24 of these projects are in excess of $100 million each. One of my good friends, Adam Shisko, who works for the Nashville Business Journal, took a lot of time and effort to create this website called the Crane Watch. And there is a link over there, hard to see from where you are sitting, but the Alumni Association has or can have a copy of my presentation. Or you can simply Google it, and you can click on any one of those red or yellow, black dots, and you can see where the project is and what type of project it is. So you don't have to come to a talk to see what's going on in Nashville. But what's going on in Nashville is really something special and something really wonderful in my opinion. When I arrived in 2001, as I said earlier, from Indianapolis, Indiana, when we were living in Indianapolis, we had just gone through a transformation in Indianapolis. With NCAA headquarters coming down, our first downtown mall in Indianapolis, a brand new baseball stadium that was built for the Indianapolis Indians. And so when my wife said, oh, we are moving back to Nashville, and it's actually, that's how it happened. But I was not on board immediately. But, you know, thankfully, after having come here and lived here for almost 15 years, Nashville is becoming a metropolitan city, a city of culture, a city with lots of recreational activities and so forth. In fact, and this is not in my words, but it could be, Nashville is the it city today. Recently, Nashville was named America's best city for barbecue. And Kansas City was named the third place. When you think barbecue, Kansas City is synonymous with barbecue, and I have a child who lives in Kansas City who takes great exception to Nashville's ranking as being number one. 52 places to go in 2014, and this was by New York Times. Nashville was 15. Travel and Leisure said one of the best places to travel in 2014. And that's a very fine dining establishment, Rolf and Daughters in Germantown, that they have pictured. You know you're on the map when you have some of the top chefs who are moving from New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and other places of renown to come to Nashville to open their own establishments. So this is really just a short list. It's practically every week, if not every day, that there is a new restaurant that's being opened. Jonathan Waxman opened Adele's, named after his mother, who was Adele. Dale Levitsky, who came from Chicago, has opened Cinema, which was ranked the best restaurant in Nashville last year. Richard Blaise has the Flip Burger right behind my house. I indulge in it quite often. Manit Chauhan has finally given us I Am of Indian Origins, a restaurant that has really good Indian food, the Ale and Masala House. Sean Brock from Charleston opened the Husk, and probably one of our highest ranked restaurants in Nashville, and truly one of the top 10 restaurants in the United States, is the Catbird Seat. Trevor Moran, who is from Copenhagen's Noma, which is the #1 ranked restaurant in the world, came from there, trained there to open the Catbird Seat. And one of his dish was, considered to be one of the most stunning dishes in any of the restaurants. So very, very interesting place Nashville has become. Of course, tourism sector breaks economic record. The industry generated $17.7 billion in 2014, a 6% increase. We are expected to break that record again in 2015. Nashville is ranked the second most vibrant and creative city in the United States today. Also, Nashville millennial growth is among the nation's fastest. 30% of Davidson County's population, and the growth rate for millennials has mushroomed to 37.1% in the last 6 years. So really, go back one, yeah. So this is the Nashville Center for Arts Research. We have some fantastic public arts projects that have been completed, that are underway, including one of my favorites called Sticks, which is going to be in the roundabout near the convention center. Google Fiber. If you travel around Nashville, you will see a lot of road closures, and yes, with construction, we do have inconvenience and nuisance. And you'll see machines that are called directional drilling machines just about everywhere close to downtown. And what they're doing is they're laying out the super fast Google Fiber. We will be the 4th city in United States to have Google Fiber. And it has been shown, and some of the early adopters of Google Fiber were Kansas City, Provo, Utah, and it has been shown that with Google Fibers, close behind their heels is tech industry and techies who love that very fast connectivity. So how did that all happen? Okay, that's a question I'm asked time and time again. What was that one thing or two things that allowed us to make this leap forward? And I think it really begins with great leadership, a leadership on many levels. It starts with the leadership on the city. This is our outgoing mayor, the 6th mayor of Nashville, first elected in 2007, just a year before the bottom fell out of the financial sector, financial industry, and the world economy. And he saw us through really, really difficult times. But not only did he just manage the risk, but he also took on additional risk in the most difficult times that has really paid off in terms of the dividends. The biggest risk he took was to build a new convention center. But also, one person, one man, one entity, one woman cannot do it alone. We have Hospital Corporation of America, Vanderbilt University, one of the largest employers, Nashville Downtown Partnership, Area of Commerce, Civic Design Center. All of these public, private entities, we were aligned. We had aligned in our mission to make Nashville better than what it was. The Music City Center was probably the one event that, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, allowed us to take that big, giant step. The construction started in 2010. It was completed in May 2013 through a bond issue of $623 million. There were many, many people who were, whether they were public servants, whether they were elected officials or private citizens, who then said, no, 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 this is foolish, this is crazy. The markets are basically seized up, people are losing jobs. Why are we building this convention center? Nobody's going to come. We are going to be stuck with it, and we're going to lose money on it, and we are going to be the joke of the country. What helped to get this project underway is Mayor Dean said, well, I'm not going to raise a single dollar from the taxpayers. It's not going to be an increase in your property taxes. We're going to ask you to double your property taxes. All of the money will come from the users, okay? So hotel motel tax, room occupancy tax, airport ground transportation, vehicle rentals, sales tax collected in the downtown central business district, what we call the tourist zone. Through those streams of revenue, we will pay off these bonds. As the music center was about to open, the article in the Nashville Business Journal was, and we have heard of by then of banks that were supposedly too big to fail, and they said, is this too big to fail? No, we can't afford that. It must not fail. Well, in May 14 of 2015, Music City Center set a single month record with $107 million in economic impact. We were fortuitous, no doubt about it. By the time the Music City Center got completed, our economy had come out. In fact, recession was in the rearview mirror, and we have continued, at least technically, whether you believe it or not, of last, 8 quarters of growth and lower jobless rate and so on and so forth. 58,000 room nights, $173 million, 160,000 attendees, 29 events. So that's our Music City Center. How many of you have seen the Music City Center? Most of you. It's a very, very fine facility. It's Beautiful in the evening, beautiful during the daytime. The total project budget actually from 623 million was slashed through 585 million because again of concerns, can we afford to spend so much money? The construction budget was 415 million, 36 months was the construction schedule. The building is 2 million square feet. The official groundbreaking was held in March of 2010. And in May, first week of May 2010, Nashville had a major event. Everybody know what that is? That was a flood. The downtown got flooded, including all the excavation they had done at the Music City Center was underwater. Skirmerhorn underwater. Okay? So, despite of all of that, this was force majeure, an event nobody could have anticipated, a risk that you could not have really accounted for. The project was delivered on budget and on schedule. 3 million man hours, 50% of the labor was trade unions, 400 suppliers and subcontractors, 7,300 workers, and it was a city inside a city in terms of the amount of work that was going on. That's the Bridgestone Arena. That's when Music City Center was coming out of ground. It's an area 17 acres in size. Those are the construction workers having lunch one day, celebrating end of the month where they had worked 300,000 man hours, woman hours, person hours without a single safety incident. The contractor who did this project was Clark Construction. One of my students, Jody, worked for Clark Construction out of DC for a number of years. Where like the other contractors, they came here, they built this project. This was their first project. They have built about 2/3 of all the convention centers in the United States, including McCormick Center and other large convention centers. And they decided to stay. They fell in love with Nashville. The project manager, assistant project manager, superintendents, none of them wanted to go back to Chicago, or they didn't want to go back to DC. They just wanted to stay in Nashville. Well, we gave them a project where they could do that, and that's right here on our campus, the Engineering Science Building, which I'll talk about in a little bit. So, lots of stats and lots of numbers, all very impressive, shall we say. So this is the main exhibit hall, 270-foot span of column-free area, which is what an exhibit hall should be. So a significant engineering challenge. We had 80-foot long trusses, each weighing 200 tons that had to be lifted in place and attached. So very, very interesting project. The carpet, lots of different types were looked at. This is supposed to convey a musical note. Okay, if you can see that, good for you. So 900,000 square feet of parking garage, 1,800 parking spaces, something that was sorely needed in downtown. And even today, one of the cheapest places to park downtown, if you go, $10, no matter what's going on. A grand ballroom, that's the grand ballroom, really high-end finishes, and a green roof. That's not something everybody can see, but that's one of the sustainable elements rather than when the rainwater hits the roof and just runs off and then gets into our storm water. And unfortunately in Nashville we have a combined sewer system, so storm water, wastewater mixes together, goes to the treatment plant, ends up in the river after it's treated, most of the time, not every time. So that's the green roof, and people are not allowed up there right now, but if you live, if you have a room in Hilton downtown or Omni or one of the tall hotels, an upper floor, you can see it. They had aimed for a LEED Silver certification. LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environmental Development. They received a gold certification. There is certified silver, gold, and the ultimate is platinum. May 19, 2014, we had a music concert, and we opened the convention center. You cannot have a convention center without a convention hotel. And one of the problems initially that we did face is we did not find any hotel operator who wanted to come and build a hotel in Nashville. You know, same reason. Who's going to come to attend these conventions? Are the hotel rooms going to be filled up? Well, we finally found one. That's Omni, TRT Holding. We had to bring them on board. When we say we, I say loosely, the city, had to bring them on board through lots of incentives, but they were a perfect partner because they were cash rich, and they financed the entire project out of their own cash flow, not getting loans for a single penny from any of the banks, okay? And so not only do we have the convention center hotel, of course, we also decided at the same time, funded through the Country Music Hall of Fame, to do some upgrades to the Country Music Hall of Fame, which is twice as big as it ever was before, and it's all connected to the Omni Hotel, and there's some nice restaurants down there. So really, all in all, just it wasn't just a project, but multiple projects around that area that came to fruition. Construction costs of the Omni Hotel, over $270 million. Metro provided $103 million in tourism taxes, abatement of the property taxes, and so forth. Again, so fortuitous. Omni Nashville booked 250,000 rooms 6 months before the hotel opened. Okay? So some of it is taking risk at the right time. And it was the right time to take the risk because contractors were very hungry. There was plenty of labor supply. Material prices were down. To build the same convention center today, it would cost you at least 50% more. There are lots of tangible and intangible benefits to all these projects. Those are my students. We got to go on top of the green roof. It's actually brown, and in winter it is brown. It's not green because the plants have gone dormant. So here we are standing on the top of the green roof as the project was nearing completion. Like I said, lots of tangible, intangible benefits. Country Music Hall of Fame. Every year, the first year freshman class, Vanderbilt University, they have a dance party at the Country Music Hall of Fame. These projects, as an instructor, as a professor, as a teacher, to me are invaluable. They are an extension of my classroom. We can teach them theory, and then they get to see it in practice right outside our doors. We don't have to drive for a mile or an hour or half an hour. We get there in 10 minutes. But the tangible benefits are also every contractor and every project that I showed you just now has students from Vanderbilt University interning on those projects, earning $16 to $20 an hour in internship, and after they graduate, getting offers for permanent jobs. As a result of which, in the civil engineering department, in the construction management program where I teach, we have 100% placement and 100% internship, and we have had that for the past many, many years. Another project group, we recently visited the Thompson Hotel, which is going up in Gulch, a luxury high-end hotel, developer from California who's come to build about 220-room hotel in downtown, and this is 1212, another retail, condo apartment project very close to Thompson Hotel. 505, the project that's about to break ground. The contractor is from Chicago, Walsh Construction. They are about to break ground. They said, hey, we want to meet your students. We're going to invite them to have some pizza. We're going to give an information session, and then we're going to have interviews to hire them. Okay? So those are the benefits that we see besides getting lots of interesting projects. How am I doing time-wise? Who's our timekeeper? Half an hour. Okay. So let's take turn our attention to some of the projects that were recently completed and one that is in the planning stages and will break ground. And these three projects I'm focusing on because I think these are the next flagship projects. We had the Music City Convention Center 2010, 2013, and these three projects are the ones that are going to take us another step forward. So redevelopment of the old convention center. So we built a new convention center. What do we do with the old convention center? Very often, if you go around the country, whether you're in New Orleans or whether you're in Houston or other places, what they do is they tear down the old convention center. It's obsolete, it's old, we have a brand new facility, nobody wants to go to the old facility, okay? Well, Nashville is going to do this in a smart way. So what they're doing actually is going to undertake a $400 million project that is going to completely transform part of downtown Nashville, okay? So they're going to repurpose the convention center. They're going to have office building. They're going to have retail mall. They're going to have residential building. And then going to have a museum, an African-American museum. In a great city, you know, and great cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Chicago, we have great museums. Nashville needs some great museums. We have Frist, but that's the only one in the downtown area. We'll have another one. Country, yeah, that is a museum too. That's right, Country Music Hall of Fame. So this is the need redevelopment. This is what the renderings, the architectural renderings are currently for the project. That's a Bridgestone Arena, that's a Ryman Auditorium, and that's where this is going to go plugged down. Okay? Yep, it'll be it'll be right there where the old convention center is, and the whole area will be redeveloped. Here's some statistics about that, but they're kind of boring, and we're going to have like, you know, Hollywood, we're going to have Nashville, and it's envisioned that there'll be a line of people, or like Las Vegas, the famous Las Vegas sign, lined up there to take their picture with the Nashville sign. Those are some renderings. This is going to be open mall with retail. Could be a mini farmer's market down there, or just vendors. That's Ryman back there. So that's a project that is in the midst of financing. It's received approvals from the city, and it should, by everything that I know and hear about, it should get underway. And yes. There is parking. One of the boring place I skipped was parking. I don't have that here, but yes, there will be parking. There'll be underground parking. Yeah, underground parking. Yeah. A new ballpark, and that's a fantastic facility. This year, the construction management group in the new students, we had a day at the ballpark. We ate dogs and watch Nashville Sounds win, and we had a lot of good fun. But there's a history to this project. Sulphur Dell was one of the earliest minor league baseball parks in the country, in the U.S. And there are many famous people who have gone through the Sulphur Dell ballpark. It was used for baseball for 100 years, between 1870 and 1963. It was then demolished in 1969 and located in a different part of town. It never really got a toehold, didn't have great attendance and so forth. And Nashville deserved and got a brand new ballpark, a public-private partnership really, where everybody put in some skin in the game. And what can be wrong with a vodka seating and a Budweiser platform and a tequila lounge? I mean, when you go there, you're going to have a good time. So capacity is 10,000. It opened on April 17, 2015. the home of Nashville Sounds, Hastings Architecture, a local architect, Barton Mello, was an out-of-town construction company. They partnered with Bell, a local contractor, to build this ballpark. But again, it is just a piece of the puzzle. It's just one piece of the changes that are going to happen around it. And what changes are going to happen around it? There's going to be a new parking garage. There's going to be new residential units surrounding the ballpark. Already new restaurants have popped up in Germantown, and that's a view of the ballpark. This was under construction, December 2015. Well, sorry, that should be December 2014. My bad. December of 2000, well, winter of 2000 was really a bad winter for Nashville. We didn't have a flood, but we had really deep freeze. We had a lot of snow, which is very unusual for Nashville. And for a long time, we didn't really think the ballpark was going to open on the day and the first pitch was going to be thrown out. But they managed. They worked 7 days a week, and this was opening day in April 17, 2015. Mayor Condé was on hand to throw out the first pitch. It was sold out, and the ballpark, like the convention center and other things, has really exceeded and surpassed the projections of attendance and so forth. And if you go there today, you'll see all around it a lot of new projects. That's when we visited as a family. Riverfront Amphitheater, another fantastic addition to the downtown Nashville. Next time you come, make sure you book tickets in advance to visit the amphitheater. It is one of the sweetest places. And I've been to the amphitheater in Chicago and Central Park and other, but it's really, really beautiful. So that's the architectural rendering. So 11-acre park on the banks of the Cumberland River, beautiful backdrop. There's going to be a dog park next to it. It's connected to the greenways. It's part of the first phase of 18-acre riverfront development and transformation, again undertaken by Mayor Condé. Not all projects were approved by the city. Not all projects went through. Lessons learned from the 2010 flood, we actually wanted to build a long flood wall to protect these assets that we are building and developing close to water. Well, that was one initiative that the mayor had that was voted down and not approved, and probably will be taken by next mayor who just took office less than a month ago. That's Megan Barry. By the way, Mayor Megan Barry's husband is a Vanderbilt professor. So the West Riverfront Park project, we visited it under construction. The contractor was Skanska, and just some pictures of that, and that's a completed facility. Here are 5 things about the Ascend Amphitheater. We have to have a name, right? Somebody gives some money so we can put their name on it. Construction began on a city-funded amphitheater. This was completely funded and financed by the city, 2,300 seat capacity. This was the lineup for the first year, and I took 2 of the shows. I went to see that, Widespread Panic. Anybody heard of Widespread Panic? And 2 of my favorites, these are not the original bands, but Pink Floyd and Led Zeppelin 2. So Pink Floyd is the Australian Pink Floyd, but it was a great evening, great evening. I'm gonna wrap it up with one other project, because like I said, we could go on and on. It's getting late in the day though. So the new HCA campus, a great partner and a great resident of Nashville is the Hospital Corporation of America. It is the largest for-profit hospital operator in the United States. And healthcare is big here. In fact, we have 5 of the top 10 largest healthcare operators in Nashville. And that's why the construction management program that I'm a director of, we focus on healthcare construction, healthcare design. So this project is called Capitol View. It's called Capitol View. HCA, and again, the contractor is Skanska, has broken ground on a 16-story tower that will include 500,000 square feet of office space for its 2 subsidiaries, Parallon Business Solutions, and Sarah Cannon Research Center. So the North Gulf projects, so this is closer to the ballpark, geographically speaking. We have South Gulch, 12th South, Central Business District, North Gulch. For the longest time, there was very little going on in North Gulch. It was ignored, it was out of sight, out of mind, but that has changed. And so this has a price tag, if all comes to fruition, about $500 million, about $500 million. So that's their site. You can see downtown Nashville. This is Charlotte Pike right here. I believe that cannot be Charlotte Pike. That's the interstate. The Charlotte Pike should be right there. Yeah. Well, there were some. It was largely, there was nothing there, but there were a few buildings that were torn down, and the land was accumulated. Oh, what's that there? It's just a warehouse. It's just a warehouse. No. This is far away from Parthenon. So all this stuff that is planned over there, it's a planned community. Well, I guess I had one more. The Bridgestone headquarters. The tire maker Bridgestone relocated a U.S. headquarters to downtown Nashville, bringing 1,700 jobs. 600 are new jobs, and that building is currently underway. J. Dunn is the contractor, again, a company where we have half a dozen students working for as interns or as employees. Estimated $56 million economic impact, $15 million grant from state of Tennessee. All right, well, that gives you a flavor. I have a lot more projects, but I think I will stop at this point a little bit early. You want to know about it? Okay, let's go. All right. So let's talk. Well, okay. So how about this? There are 30 hotels currently either in planning stage or under construction in Nashville. 30. One of them is owned by Sir Richard Branson, Virgin Hotel, very close to campus. This will be the only second Virgin Hotel to be built in the United States. First is in Chicago, Nashville is second, third will be opening in New York City. It'll be two buildings, 19-story and 15-story. This will be the hotel portion. This will be the penthouse connected by a sky bridge. And of course, you got to have a roof side, deck pool on the top of the roof. So that is fairly close to Vanderbilt, close to the Sky House project. The new engineering and science building. I shouldn't have skipped that. My dean will not be happy. We talked about all the projects have names. Well, this has a very boring name, Engineering and Science Building. But we are seeking the right name to go on the building. If you get my drift, yes. And as to what it will take, that's a conversation between Dean Fauché and you. But you can give me your card, and I will make sure it gets to him. So Wilson Architects designed this engineering and science building. Initially, it was supposed to be a joint venture between engineering and medical school. Well, you may have heard a few things about our medical school. They had some money issues. And as a result, they backed out. And so now it's just an engineering building or engineering and science building. And so it won't be fully finished. We'll have 4 floors completed, and top 3 floors will be just shell space to be completed as and when money becomes available. But still, very high-end finishes. These are some of the classrooms and lobby pictures. That was Dean Fauché on September 17th, telling them to set up the blast. That's the first blast that took up to break up the stone in the ground so it could be excavated. The building has 2 levels, a basement. And that's the construction picture of it, October 20, 2015. Vanderbilt has a web camera, so you can go see the progress of it. That's Olin Hall. We are trying our best to hide it, but from certain angles, you can still see it, unfortunately. The most commonly asked question I have is, are they tearing down Olin Hall? Well, you must realize that when it was designed, it was a very innovative design. And this is supposed to represent the sail. Vanderbilt, Commodore, sail. See how it all tries together? And then, we forgot about it. So now it's an eyesore. No, it's too big a space. We have no place on campus to put all those people, all those labs. In fact, every building that we design on campus right now, or have in the past few years, is designed to take additional 2 to 3 floors in the future, okay? Because we can't expand. We can only go vertically. Yep. That's correct. So the Children's Hospital, Monroe Carroll Hospital just announced in 2015 that they're going to add 4 more floors to the existing Children's Hospital. And that's true of most buildings. All right, so with that and with your permission, I will stop. And if you have any questions, I'll take questions. If not, you're free to leave and enjoy the rest of your day. Yes, ma'am. Let me take her question first. Yep. Okay, so let's see, if I have a project, yeah, so change is coming to Nashville, and with that comes challenges. Our greatest challenge is transportation. Greatest challenge. I am very fortunate, and I am fortunate because I have a very smart partner, my wife. When we moved to Nashville, she said, we're going to live 5 minutes from campus. So today it takes me 6 minutes, instead of 5. But our roads are clogged. It takes longer. People waste time. They lose production. It emits greenhouse gases. Everybody recognizes that that's our next big challenge. Okay, do we have the substance to actually find a solution to this challenge? I have had long conversations with Megan Barry and some of the other candidates in the mayoral race. We have cities who have, tackled this and tackled it well. Whether it's Salt Lake City or Denver, Colorado, we can learn from them. Portland, Oregon, and most recently, Minneapolis. We need to do something. So transportation is the urgent concern for many Nashvillians. Addressing transportation issues is going to be my #1 priority. That's what Megan Barry has said. So. Yeah, but, engineers and contractors are very smart. We never say never. We can do pretty much everything. You build Burj Khalifa in the middle of the desert, you can darn well build a subway in Nashville. It can happen. Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world, so on sand in the middle of the desert. So yeah, it can be done. It's not simple. It's not easy. It's not going to be cheap. We got to decide, how badly do we need it? How badly do we want it? So, all right. Mm-hmm. Well, like Vanderbilt also has advertisement in the Predators game in the Bridgestone Arena. So it just areas, you give a little money and promo. Yep, exactly. Yep. So the Mayor Dean had actually floated an idea, a rapid bus transit. To me, that still makes the best sense. Okay? Dedicated lane and the AMP. Yeah. Yeah, I think they didn't do a good job selling it. They didn't do a good job informing the people. And there is not a single transit project that when it is floated doesn't immediately get a negative reaction. I don't care which city you're in. You know, MARTA in Atlanta, nobody wanted MARTA. Not in my neighborhood. I don't want it coming, you know, near where I live. Exactly. But you have to be able to sell it. You have to convince people, and you got to bring people on board. So, all right. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for coming, and I hope you learned something. And come back and next year or a few years from now, and we'll have more projects to talk about, hopefully.